Okay. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me today. I don't do a lot of Instagram lives, so I'm really excited about this. I'm trying something new. And the intention behind going live today is to invite questions, either live or later, that you have questions for me about. And it also inspired me to do this because recently I've been getting a lot of questions from people that I'd like to meet at some point, but maybe don't have the time to meet right now in person. And just really wanting to make this connection with you guys and to answer your questions that you have, while also being able to answer the question for a lot of other people that have the same one. So that's the intention behind doing this today. So if you're joining live right now, awesome. And if you join and you see this later, please feel free to send me your questions, direct message them to me. And I literally have kind of this ongoing list that I'm keeping of people's questions so that I can come on here and do more lives and just answer the general questions. So today, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask me during the live. I did receive some questions in my inbox before the live that I'll just go ahead and just begin with. And again, feel free to ask any questions that you have at any point or later. So again, what prompted this Q&A was just an influx of people wondering about, number one, what is YoThera? What is that? What is that thing that you've created? What are you doing? And so I will answer that just to kind of start with. As many of you know, my background, my professional background has been a traditional mental health therapist. And I've been doing traditional mental health as a clinical social worker in private practice since 2010. And I've really enjoyed that. It's really been such a beautiful part of my journey. So I did traditional mental health. And when I say traditional, I mean, I was using, the diagnostic manual to diagnose people. I was doing treatment plans. I was working in a very traditional way, while of course bringing, my own flavor to the work, but still it was quite traditional. And I was always in private practice. I've actually never been not in private practice. So lots of people that graduate from their master's program, they go maybe into some other kind of field first before they jump into private practice. But for whatever reason, I decided that it was going to be really fun to take on this challenge. So right after I graduated with my master's at Boise State, I went right into private practice, and I began my 3,000 clinical hours under a psychologist, and worked there under her supervision for 2.5 years, building my practice and working in that very traditional way. So grateful, so grateful for that time. And then continued to do private practice mental health until about 2014, 2015. And that was about the time where yoga came into my life in a big way. So I've always been to yoga classes, always loved yoga. But now I decided, I want to join a teacher training. So I decided to get my 200-hour yoga teacher training certificate. It was a 1-year program, and I did that while I was still doing private practice therapy. And that really was just the beginning of wanting to bridge the body and the spirit into mental health. And from there, I signed up to do Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, become a practitioner with them, because they have a mental health track, which was really great for mental health professionals to be able to use their specific approach into therapy. So I was a 200-hour yoga teacher. After a couple of years with Phoenix Rising, I was now a certified Phoenix Rising practitioner. And so that was about 2017. And this whole time, my intuitive abilities were coming online, and they were just exploding. And my third eye was expanding. I didn't quite know what to make of all of this, but the truth of it is now, as I look back, I was just in my body. I was just starting to really access my gifts from a different space. So for so long, I was accessing it through the mental space only. But when I started to really do my own work, and when you get in the body, as many of you know, when you get in the body, it brings everything up that your mind has kind of pushed back and has made it super easy to not look at, right? So I decide to just begin to be open to these gifts that I was having. And I wasn't bringing it into therapy, wasn't doing anything like that, but I was talking to my friends about it. I was talking to, a current partner about it. I was, really starting to wonder what was going on and having these very profound experiences of sensing things beyond this physical reality. And so that's about 2017. That's the very beginning of YoThera. That's when I trademarked YoThera, the name. I started to create a brand, if you will. And YoThera is the word that came through for me of the words yoga and therapy coming together. But it's not in the traditional sense. So that's another question that I get asked a lot is, what does the word YoThera mean? And do you use yoga in therapy? So YoThera is the combination of yoga and therapy, the words, but yoga simply means union. It only means this union of your higher self, your body, mind, and spirit. When we think of yoga now, we think of poses. They think of yoga, they think of doing the asanas, which is just one limb of yoga. And so the intention behind the word YoThera is that it brings all of the parts of you together into the therapy session. And so about 2017 is when I started to develop YoThera, which is now YoThera Method, which it has grown into a methodology over the past 4 years that has really anchored in and become solid. And so that was one of the questions. I want to make sure I don't get off track here, but a question I get asked a lot of people want to meet and talk about business stuff, or they want to talk about how I moved out of traditional therapy. That's a big question that I get asked. One of two questions is, how did you move out of traditional therapy into what you're doing now, which I'm doing more coaching and teaching and mentoring now. That's really where it is for me at this point in my life. So how did you move out of that? And then I get a lot of people that are like yoga teachers or in yoga teacher training programs that are wanting to bridge more of the mental health. So it's really beautiful and, really attracting people from both, excuse me, ends of the spectrum. People that are therapists wanting to be more embodied, people that are in their body, or maybe they're holistic practitioners or yoga teachers or yoga therapists wanting to understand the psychology. So it's really, really beautiful. And so how I moved out of traditional therapy is I became something different. That's really the answer. Is I had developed skills to the point where I no longer was really in the profession of traditional therapy. Everything that I was getting continuing education credits in or continuing trainings in would not necessarily fit into traditional therapy. And that's how I moved out of it, is I became specialized in different areas outside of traditional, which is really what people want anyway. It's really, that's what I've noticed is most people want a holistic approach to their healing, but they're going to traditional mental health therapists because our access to holistic ways of healing is kind of limited. We're moving out of this role of, or this way of being where you go to your Reiki practitioner and then you go to your therapist for this, and then you go to your massage therapist for that, and then you go to your physical therapist for that. And before you know it, there's a ton of, first of all, you're spending a lot of money on a lot of different things instead of really having a holistic approach to bettering your life and bettering your understanding of who you are and what you're here to do, and really living your best life. So Um, so that's how I would say I started really moving out of it. And I would say in this last year, I've began to really embrace my intuitive gifts. I started to offer intuitive sessions, which I called insight sessions. And those have taken off without a whole lot of marketing. So those have really taken off and have become a joy to my heart. It's really been a way that I feel fulfilled and on purpose for myself. When I do insight sessions, it doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like play. It feels like expansiveness. It feels like I'm doing such a deep service, more than sometimes I feel in a therapy session. And so these insight sessions really took off, which again isn't traditional. But what I've noticed is that people that are doing wanting to go through the Yothera method training, the certification program, is they want to understand how to deepen their intuitive gifts. So the Yothera method certification program, which is another question I get asked a lot, is a program that I've created that teaches practitioners like myself, either mental health or in the yoga profession or the holistic profession, maybe they're coaches or teachers. I get a lot of nurses, actually, people in the helping profession that want to bring holistic approaches into the work that they're already doing with their clients, with their unique gifts. And it's such a versatile approach where it's a 3-phase process, but it can be easily molded to the practitioner in their own flavor, which is so beautiful. So that was one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how did I move out of traditional therapy? How did I create Yothera method? That's another one that I wrote down that has been coming, lots of people want to know about that. How did I create it? I answered that a little bit earlier in the video, but to continue on with that, about September of last year, of 2020, I actually had quite a powerful encounter with a light being. And this little light being was a guide for me for about 4 or 5 months. And it was a little boy, and he was a teacher. He was a little alchemist, actually, and how he would show me things in meditation was he would guide me and assist me in creating the method, Yothera method. And I don't tell a lot of people that, actually, because it's very dear to me, that experience. But that's the truth. That's the answer to that question, is that is how that was part of the huge motivators or catalysts in birthing Yothera method, was the last 6 months, really. And so the Yothera method now, the certification program, is beginning in April. And that's a 9-month program. And it teaches practitioners how to bring this work into the work that they're already doing in the world. So it's really been a ride. And another question that I've been asked several times is what's my greatest challenge as an entrepreneur? And many of you that might be watching right now could really identify with this. My greatest challenge as an entrepreneur is, there's a few, but the first one is getting clear on my worth, getting clear on my boundaries, and not trying to help everybody. And really owning that I'm not for everybody has been a really big challenge for me. Because oftentimes, as helpers and healers and sensitives and empaths, and we want to help everyone. It hurts us to see others hurting. And I've really had to learn how to have boundaries with that, and also elevate my work in a way that helps and gives other people permission to elevate their work, which is, it's all about self-worth. That's the biggest thing that I have struggled with as an entrepreneur, is boundaries around my worth. Charging what I would willingly charge, or what I would willingly pay for somebody else. That's what I should be charging at the least. And then understanding that you're not for everyone. And that's been a hard one. And also not allowing other people's expectations of you to define you. So yeah, not trying to be everything for everyone, and really knowing who you are. And I have to say, if you're listening to this now or later, and if you're an entrepreneur, I have talked to my personal coach about this as well, and she had such a great metaphor that she used for this. As an entrepreneur, we often spend months, sometimes years, working on an artistic project or something like that. And we work so hard at this creation, right? And then when we bring it out into the world, we finally say, here it is. This is my gift to the world. And maybe nobody signs up. Maybe people just walk by. And it's like bringing your pony to the fair, in 4-H. And you've just worked so hard and everyone just walks by because it's another pony, right, to them. And so it's brought up so much of my worthiness issues over the last 10 years. And it's been amazing to see how, as entrepreneurs, we really push our edges, don't we? We put ourselves out there in such a brave way. I really feel that being an entrepreneur is one of the highest spiritual callings. At least that's my experience, is being an entrepreneur really forces us to meet our edges and be personally accountable, because we are our safety net. We are our own ground. And so that's been my biggest challenge. I would be very interested to hear if any of you have, as entrepreneurs, it looks like sorry, give me a minute. Oh, sorry, I don't really know how the lives work yet. If you have a question, though, you can send it to me in the messages, and I will do another Q&A again. So another one that came in was business consulting. So interestingly enough, I have received several requests around helping people with business, like business consulting. Again, specifically how to really be yourself and really be authentic in your business and really be out there and visible and seen. And it's so funny because I never seek this out. That's not something that I'm out there like, hey, I do business consulting. It's not even part of my message or my branding. But it is something I have to say I'm pretty good at. And maybe that means I should be offering it more. So I have been just letting people know that in my mentorships, I have several people that are doing mentorship now that are people like myself that are just wanting to be authentic in their voice and want my assistance in being that clear mirror for them, and also sharing the 10 years of experience that I have gained as being an entrepreneur. What have I learned just by making mistakes? What have I learned along the way that really works? So that's something that is available as part of mentorship if you're interested. I also do one-off, consultation sessions. If you're like, I really want to get my business started. I really want to, come into my gifts and talents and all of that. Yeah, so it's really awesome. It's really been really fun to work in this new way that I never thought that I would be working in. So just putting that out there if that resonates. So I'm just looking over the list of other things that came through. But I think that's everything for now. That's most of the questions that I get and have been receiving. I hope to meet all of you again in person soon. And I am offering some of my one-on-one sessions at Source. If you're in the Boise area, on Wednesdays, I offer a lot of my sessions in person. So, and majority is still online, but please do reach out to me. I would love to connect with you, whether it's in person or just online. Ask me questions, connect with me, and I hope to continue to see you guys on the journey. Thanks, guys.